But if you had to step through it, these would be the basic steps. Gaining access, the lease, searching for the gas, which would be the seismic process and some other exploratory type drilling, preparing the site, the earthwork that's done, drilling the well, which we'll talk about in a number of different ways here over the course of the day, I'm sure, and John and I to some degree this morning. Preparing the well, doing the actual drilling, and then the hydraulic fracturing, or what's often referred to in the industry as the completion or the well stimulation. And then the gas production, which is going to be the part, gas coming out, obviously, into the pipeline, water management, which we'll talk about here today, and I mentioned there the movement or the pipeline, and then well closure. And how long is that? Most industry players are thinking that's probably expectations, and our academics are saying, looking at that, is probably a 30 to 50-year run on a per well basis. About half of the yield from those wells coming in the first 24, 30 months. There's been some variation in those numbers depending upon the geology, but that's what most geologists are saying at this point in time, whether they're academics on campus or whether they're within the industry. Not just around the site when we think about erosion and sediment control, but also on the site. Again, some of the processes that we're seeing in place and some of the trends out there that seemingly are important. Some of these from a regulatory standpoint are being put in place, some are being looked at, and other ones are just BMPs or best management practices that we're seeing that industry is moving to. One of the most important that we'd like to highlight are the pad coverings or polyliners that are put on. We're also seeing a move by companies out there, again, not by rule and reg, but by trend and BMP. We're seeing companies that are building bigger berms around their site as another layer of protection. So if there was some sort of a spill issue, then it would be contained on that site for some period of time until it could be contained further or cleaned up, assuming that it stayed within that berm. And we are seeing some situations where that has occurred. One thing that we are clearly seeing, and you'll hear quite a bit about today, are issues related to methane migration. The conductor pipes, the intermediate string, the production string of pipes that are going downhole, and the cementing process that's being deployed, and the rules and regs, again, that are wrapped around that are really critical for making sure that this part is done right. That is a place that we've clearly seen in Pennsylvania with methane issues or methane migration issues around some components of that, where there was failure either in the grouting or the casing issue, or some things that are related to that we'll go into. But how much water is actually used in the process? I guess we have two steps there on that slide. How much water is used in that process? Actually, the drilling side is using somewhere around 80 to 100,000 gallons of water to drill one of these, and there's a lot of recycling in that process that goes on. I often use the example, a big swimming pool is about 40 to 50,000 gallons of water, so you can get an idea of what's used. Shows here a pit, cuttings going into the pit, the drilling mud that's being used, if they're downhole that might be going into the pit as well. But we are clearly seeing a trend out there to use closed loop systems, move away from these pits. And in some cases, companies that were using pits going back that had actually closed them and buried them, going back and now starting to dig them out, looking at issues that could be potentially related to that, and again, pulling them back out of the ground and landfilling that. So that closed loop system seems to be a very strong trend that's out there.